Boys, I've made a mistake. I've been making videos for other classes, warlocks, death knights, hunters, and I forgot that the best class in the game is rogue. It's obviously rogue. In today's video, I want to kind of show you guys an AOE build for massive damage for your Outlaw rogue, so you guys can have some fun with it. You guys remember the brand new trait for 8.1 that came out? Of course you don't. Nobody remembers this trait as a thing. I'm getting invited for my Mythic Pluses. But keep your wits about you is actually a very powerful trait. I get asked to do this on live stream by a viewer. Here's the proof. Because of this man, I would have never even tried this. And that's why I'm even making an AOE build for Outlaw in this video. And this build might get you guys to want to play Outlaw. I know that Roll the Bones is not everyone's most favorite ability. You guys hate the RNG or the playstyle. Assassination might be a more fun spec. You know what? All those things, wrong. Outlaw is the best spec for any AOE or cleave situation. If you have like one boss and that's all you gotta hit, Outlaw, it's kind of like meh, it's whatever. But as soon as the next person joins in, there's two enemies side by side, bam, that's it. Is the fight for Outlaw rogues. It is your favorite composition. It is exactly what you want with Keep Your Wits About You. How does Keep Your Wits work? Each time an attack blade flurries, increase the chance of Sin Strike to strike again by 2%. Sin Strike already has a baseline 35% chance, so as I'm going to walk up to a bunch of train dummies, and you can watch the hit chance there. 35, 47, 65, 95, 110. That means every time I spam Sin Strike, it gets me a free strike. Secondary effect, your Sin Strike offhand, secondary hit. So like whenever your Sin Strike normal hits, it has a chance to double hit. That double hit does a little more damage. So you can stack this one a couple times if you want to, but keeping one of these is, keep your wits about you. Okay, that's like the rule. You can do whatever other traits you want. You can use this playstyle with insanely strong AOE burst combo, and this makes certain buffs even better, like if you are playing Outlaw. First of all, I will say this: if you want to check out a PvE guide for Outlaw rogues for basics, I will have a video down in the description below for the base stuff. You can go watch that, get the basics of how you play, the rotation, the buff, and the theory behind it. Once you get the basics, come back to this video, or watch that video after coming back to this video, so you can watch one video then the other, because views help with this channel regardless. But if you're playing Outlaw, there's one buff that actually works so well with this, and it should be obvious, right? As soon as I get the buff. Welcome to Outlaw rogue, boys. Trust me, it's not always like this. This is not what people tell you about Outlaw. This is not what people tell. Okay, about an hour in, we finally get the buff for Broadsides. Common point generating abilities generate additional common points and do 20% more damage. So when you have a bunch of enemies, right? Turn on Blade Flurry. You have Blade Flurry that's hitting for 100% chance. And you have Blade Flurry's Sin Strikes that are hitting for 20% more because of Broadsides. That can make a really powerful combination together. So that's what the Outlaw rogue buff is. So if you have Broadside, you can use this buff, you can use this playstyle. If you don't worry about it too much. So let me show you more or less kind of what it looks like. Blade Flare on, Ambush Opener, Killing Spree to follow up. We're gonna Drone Rush out of that, get our finishers in, make sure to get the pistol shots in for our crits, and just Sin Strike and Finisher. Hold on, Blade Flare is off. We're just gonna Sin Strike Finisher again. Let's get that Death Shot in there with Pistol Shot. 4 targets, 60k DPS. It's like basically 20k a pop, man. 20k a pop. The more enemies you add into this, the more damage you do. Welcome to Outlaw rogue. Let me first talk a bit about some of the talents you'll want to run to make this work. One of them is Killing Spree, which is a very fun talent, so I think a lot of you guys will be excited. The talents needed for this build: in the first row, Quick Draw. Not really needed, but Quick Draw I like it better because Pistol Shot and Common Point Generation goes so well together. Probably the best in the whole row. Level 30 Acrobatic Strikes gives you wider range for abilities. Blade Flurry also gets wider range for abilities, so you can make sure to hit everybody. Vigor is going to be good for the energy regen, and unless you're running like Ace up your sleeve, Deeper Stratagem becomes better with Ace. Outside of that, Vigor is good for most other traits. Cheat Death is going to be good because if a boss or an ad is about to kill you and you don't die, that means you can do more damage. It's great. Level 75, I like Prey, and you should take Prey because Between the Eyes is kind of part of your rotation, so the 10% damage increase on anybody in a dungeon, I think your dungeon friends are going to be very, very happy to have that extra debuff on an enemy. Level 90 Alacrity, because Roll the Bones is the playstyle, and then Killing Spree, the holy ability. The one that makes this build work. what Killing Spree allows you to do is to build up your resource for your keep your wits about you very quickly. By the time it's over, that's it. You have your full setup and you can start doing damage. Welcome to Outlaw Rogue. I was actually impressing a lot of the guys that I'm playing keys with together, and they were like, what is this damage? I don't understand, but this is what allows Outlaw Rogue to do a lot of damage. So it'd be a very simple setup. You open up with a Blade Flurry, Killing Spree on the targets, build up the buff very quickly, pop Adrenaline Rush if you need to. If you do have Broadsides, keep that buff even if it's just one buff, and then spam Sinister Strikes. Now a question, how many of this trade should you run, and is there some kind of a trade combo? You can either have one, keep your wits about you, and then two of any other trait to help you do more single target damage. When you're doing that, you still want to play up to the any other traits that change your playstyle. So like Deadshot, for example, I'm still going to be using my Between the Eyes and Pistol Shot procs as part of my rotation, but outside of getting my Between the Eyes into Pistol Shot combo, that's all I'm doing is just spamming Sinister Strike. If you want to go for a full AoE build, if let's say a dungeon or a raid requires way too much AoE damage out of you, you can stack, keep your wits about you, and be all good for AoE, but you'll basically be less good for any single target. So you have to find that balance, and that balance will be determined by how you want to use it. If you're not sure how you want to run, what kind of build, run one, keep your wits about you, and two traits for single target. Hopefully Outlaw specific traits like Deadshot. So the core reasoning behind why you would want to use this is Outlaw and why it's effective. You're trying to spend as little time outside of doing boss fights and doing the important things in dungeons, especially if it's a week like Tyrannical that makes the bosses live longer and do more damage, so they're generally a lot scarier. As Outlaw, what you're trying to do is group as many people together as possible and trying to nuke them down. You're trying to make it so that your group has to spend as little time on trash bags and trying to pull as many of them as possible so you can get the most value out of your cooldowns. Short term, big burst for everybody, trying to nuke them down as soon as you can before they can nuke you. So you guys can have more time on bosses, on mechanics, and more time whenever you guys wipe and make mistakes, which evidently will happen throughout the dungeon run. What's great about Outlaw Rogue as well is just how much damage you can do to 5 enemies, 10 enemies, but also 2. As long as there's more than one enemy in front of you, you can cleave through them fairly efficiently. The burst damage you provide can make something like this kind of pack with 2 Faceless Corruptors in Underrot right before the very last boss that generally takes a little bit of time. It gives your team and saves them seconds. Those seconds with every single trash pack that you help save them turn into minutes, and minutes is what gives you extra breathing room in order to get through the dungeon. If you're able to pump this much DPS, if you're able to get used to the rotation and how fast-paced it is and get the most value out of it, you can actually have a lot of fun, watch yourself do big insane numbers, and help your team get through the fights. I want to do a quick rundown of another one of the encounters. This one is in Waycrest Manor when you're going after the third boss. You're going to go into the Undercrofts, and there's a trash bag that's pretty big. We decided to split it into 2. I'm just going to go in as Outlaw, pop my pre-pod, turn on Blade Flurry, ambush in the opener so I can build the combo points, Killing Spree to build up my charges, Adrenaline Rush so I can get the damage going, and I'm just going to roll into a decent buff and spam Sinister Strike and dispatch until I'm out. After my Blade Flurry is down, I'm going to use another second charge of Blade Flurry and just going to keep spamming Sinister Strike into finishers, Sinister Strike into finishers, and just do absolutely disgusting amounts of damage, since that's what Outlaw is really good at. This is very simple playstyle, but it's very quick. You have a very limited window during your Blade Flurry to do insane amounts of damage. If you can't get the most value in that Blade Flurry window, most of your damage is going to be gone afterwards. So this is a very fast-paced playstyle. This is why we use Killing Spree. So during Killing Spree, you can stack up the buff a lot faster. This is why we're trying to look for different buffs and just trying to spam out Sinister Strikes and finishes back to back to back. This is why it's a lot of emphasis on trying to do the most amount of damage in the shortest amount of time. Outside of that, I guess I could talk a bit more about detail and trinkets. What trinkets should you run to make the AoE damage happen? So BFA doesn't have any good AoE trinkets. In previous expansions, we had trinkets that actually had an AoE effect to them, like the Glaze from Tomb of Sargeras. Or there was a lot of dungeon trinkets that would have maybe like the legendary trinket with Kill Jaden's Cunning, I think it was called, but it would basically send this orb of just fire and it just explodes with crits on everybody. So in BFA, you don't really have AoE trinkets nearly as much anymore. So use any trinkets that increase your damage. This one is a good example. Lustrous Golden Plumage. You can even have a PvP version of this trinket. It gives you extra agility, but also on use gives you versatility. Any trinkets that give you an on use extra stats or a proc for stats can also be pretty good. It's better when they are on use so you can control it, but the procs can also work if you can play around those. But if you hate the RNG, get the on use. It might mean you might need to farm a little bit in the game, but I guess we'll, yeah, just give it some time, farm it for a bit, do PvP. You can get it from a lot of sources. Outside of that, I like Deadeye Spyglass. This one can give me a lot of crit because I'm playing with a lot of crit heavy playstyle. I'm playing with Deadshot and Pistol Shot damage, so if those crits, that does a lot of damage as well. So for me, that works. Outside of that, for stats, you don't really need to worry too much about it. What I do for all dungeons is keep 1000 haste, at least. A little bit under or a little bit over, completely fine. After that, I'll prioritize crit, but you guys can prioritize crit and versatility equally. For me personally, I'm going for more crit because I raid and then I also do PvP, but having equal amounts of crit and equal amounts of versatility is always good. So let's say you're heavy on crit, but you have a couple of rings and you're like, oh, I could enchant those rings with some good stat. What should I do? If you're heavy on crit, you should enchant those versatility. As long as you can get about 1000 points of haste, a little under or a little over is just fine. Just try to get it as close as possible as you can get it. And that's basically the AOE build for Outlaw. I do hope you guys enjoy this video, and I do hope the footage that you see on screen gets you guys maybe excited to try this out. It's actually super fun. It's an absolute blast. The damage you do is hilarious. So have fun with it before Blizzard nerfs it, because Blizzard's motto is, as we all know, if it's fun, we nerf it. I'm kind of joking, but not really, because Blizzard does seem to nerf fun things. I do want to be positive Dal for 2019, but they still do keep nerfing fun things. I really do hope they stop that. But maybe they'll see this nerf, maybe not. But Outlaw is a great spec for Mythic Plus dungeons. Maybe after this video, we won't see them doing nearly as much damage anymore. But use it while you got it, boys. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you guys enjoy the big damage you can do with the Outlaw. And hopefully you guys will have some fun with this spec, especially if you want to try to get into Mythic Plus dungeons, which are super fun. Not for everybody, but super, super fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see all of you in another video.